Boldwood presents Love to Hate You, written by Camilla Isley and read by Stephanie Cannon. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Boldwood. To all long-distance couples, may you find your happily ever after. Chapter 1. Bitter pills may have blessed effects. Dread fills me as I ask my boss to repeat himself, because I can't possibly have heard him right. See, certain things are annoying. Bad hair days, not enough vanilla syrup in my latte, pen clicking, hiccups. Then there's the truly hateful stuff. Cars that take up 2 parking spaces, people who read over my shoulder, slow Wi-Fi, humble braggers. And finally, there are the things with the potential to ruin my life forever, like the words about to exit Winthrop Cargill Macmillan's mouth. The head of Denouement Studios, the movie production company I work for, is presently holding my happiness in the palm of his hand, and he's about to close his fist and squeeze. Winthrop flares his nostrils.
I said I want you to move to Emerald Creek for the duration of filming, not fly over for a quick fix.
Yep, I'd heard him right the first time. But shooting will last at least 3 more months, I protest. If I can settle things in a few days, I don't see why I should stay on location. I can always return should other issues. Winthrop bangs a fist on his desk so hard, even the sturdy window panes of his Manhattan 50th floor office might have rattled.
We can't afford anything else to go wrong,
he shouts. Then, taking a steadying breath, he adds,
3 months is all it should have taken to wrap up the project. Instead, we're already a month in and still deep in the weeds. For goodness sake, they haven't shot a single scene in the past week.
He points a finger at me.
Samantha, I'm tired of hearing excuses. You can either pack your bags and move to Indiana or pack your office.
I'm so shocked by the finger-pointing and by Winthrop's threat to fire me, I don't know what to say. Thankfully, my boss seems to realize he's gone too far and backtracks right away.
Sorry, Sam. I didn't mean to threaten you, but we're hemorrhaging money on this movie and we can't afford to lose another penny, not after the last couple of years,
he says, referring to the global pandemic that stopped movie productions worldwide, kept movie theaters' doors shut for months, pushed new movie releases forward by 1 or 2 years, and left many film studios with serious cash flow issues.
I need you to make sure everything goes smoothly down there.
The carrot always works better than the stick with me. I swallow hard and regretfully agree to a 3-month sentence in hell.
Oh, come on,
Winthrop says as I'm about to leave his office.
Emerald Creek isn't Siberia. And a few months of country life might even put a little natural color in those cheeks of yours.
Easy for him to say when he'll still be living within walking distance of a Nobu. And what does he have against my two-faced Papa-Don't Peach blush anyway? Dazed, I stumble on my stilettos as I walk down the hall toward my office. The temporary relocation is making me dizzier than a 3rd round of Cosmopolitans would. As I reach my door, I beckon Celia, my assistant, to follow me inside. She eagerly scurries up from her desk and comes in behind me. Please, close the door, I say, as I collapse on my white leather swivel chair. Celia eyes me with a worried expression, as she should, awkwardly standing a few feet from the desk. Please sit down. I gesture to the 2 empty chairs in front of her. I sigh, ready to relate the awful news, when she says, Oh my gosh, you're firing me. I close my mouth as she goes on. I know the company isn't doing well. I have a friend in accounting, she explains. But I never imagined layoffs were a possibility. Are the studios going under? Is everyone fired? What am I going to do now? I've still got a ton of student loans to pay. I raise a hand to stop her. Celia, you're not fired. She fans herself. Oh, thank goodness. Still a little out of breath, she adds, Okay, tell me what it is then, because this is the first closed-door meeting we've held since you hired me 3 years ago. I don a reassuring smile. After a job loss scare, a transfer to Indiana will sound marginally less horrific, or at least so I keep telling myself. It's about love to hate you. Celia nods intently, hanging on my every word. Winthrop has asked me to bring the filming back on track, and he feels the only way to achieve that goal is if I'm on site for the entire duration of shooting. Celia's hand goes to her chest. You're moving to Indiana? I give her a steady look. We are moving to Indiana. The expression of horror on Celia's face deepens, and she couldn't have a more sympathetic audience than me. But the decision is made, and I don't allow her time to hope she might get out of coming with me. Instead, I carry on to the practical aspects of organizing the move. Do you have anything major planned in the next 3 months? Celia swallows. Then you'd better give her your present sooner. Before she can protest, I add, you can take the day of the shower off and follow the event on Zoom. Everyone's used to digital events. Your sister won't even notice you aren't there in the flesh. Anything else? No. Good. I need you to book the plane tickets and hotel rooms. When do you want to fly out? As expected, she has heroically accepted her destiny and turned businesslike. Sunday, the earliest flight you can find. We'll need half a day to settle in before we tackle the production team on Monday. You mean this Sunday, like in 3 days? Yes. Why, did you have plans? A Tinder date, but I can cancel. Great, I say. Take tomorrow off to pack or sort anything else you might have planned outside of Tinder and say goodbye to the city. I sure will. The sooner we leave, the quicker we can return. And Celia, here comes her carrot. You want to be a producer one day? Yes. Great. This will be a unique opportunity to gain in-the-field experience and build up your resume. As I walk home from work, I search Emerald Creek, Indiana on my phone. I usually take a cab, but today I'm skipping the ride in favor of a last stroll among the streets of my beloved New York City. I wait expectantly for the search results to load, but even the map app has trouble finding that speck of dirt in the world. To find a major nearby city, I have to zoom out 6 or 7 times, and the closest result is Indianapolis. What's in Indianapolis? Are they famous for anything other than the racetrack? With a longing glance at Bloomingdale's bright summer clothing windows, I curse myself for the 100th time for approving Indiana as the shooting location for Love to Hate You. The movie will be my next romantic comedy blockbuster, assuming I can get the filming completed. And on paper, Emerald Creek looked perfect. The small town had all the features I needed: a lake, a quaint city center, endless fields, and it was cheap as hell compared to other sites. But now that I have to move there for 3 months, I'm wondering why the ranch we rented as the primary setting lowballed the rest by so much. Is the area so vile no one wants to live there? I'm going to find out soon. I put the phone away and navigate the pedestrian-packed sidewalks, enjoying the view of tall skyscrapers, high-end hotels, and shops. My heart breaks a little more with each step forward as I say goodbye to my one true love, Manhattan. At home, I kick off my shoes in the hall and move into the open kitchen to pull a bottle of white wine out of the fridge. As I work on removing the cork, I drop my phone on the countertop, shooting a group call to my 2 best friends. Sam, what's up? I just got home from work and I need moral support. A short pause. You left the office before 8? Are you ill? Worse. That's when Holly joins the call. Hello? A dreadful crashing noise comes through the speakers, then silence, scuffling, then Holly is back. Sorry, I dropped my phone. What's up? Why are we having a 3-way call in the middle of the afternoon on a random Thursday? Is someone dead? Sam is home from work, Taylor replies. Then someone is definitely dead, Holly concludes. Not just yet, I say. Maybe soon. I pour myself a huge glass of wine. At the telltale glug-glug-glug sound, Holly nails me immediately. Are you at home drinking in the middle of the day? 4 o'clock is hardly the middle of the day. I retort. "Come on," Taylor cries out. "The suspense is killing us. What happened?" "I have to move to Indiana," I say, and take a long sip of wine. Dead silence fills the line. "Girls, are you still there?" They recover from the shock at the same time and fire questions at me. "For how long?" Taylor. "Why?" Holly. 2 to 3 months to supervise the production of my latest movie. Filming has fallen behind, and Winthrop got tired of hearing excuses, so he sent his attack dog, aka me, to fix the mess. Apparently, the location manager and his 2 assistants can't manage on their own. This is punishment for being good at my job. Taylor speaks first. "Well, 3 months isn't so bad. You'll be back just in time for Labor Day, and summer in New York sucks." "No season sucks in New York," I protest. "Anyway, I'm calling because, as a dead woman walking, I have a right to my last meal. Cancel all your plans for Saturday. I want to spend the day soaking in everything Manhattan has to give." And I do. I start my weekend by waking up at 6 to go to my Pilates studio for an early session. With my muscles toned and stretched, I take a sauna, a long shower, change, and meet the girls for breakfast at Tiffany's. Or more precisely, brunch at the Blue Box Cafe at the Tiffany New York flagship store. In the afternoon, we spend a few hours at our favorite salon getting mani-pedis, facials, and I get my hair trimmed and refresh my highlights. My shoulder-length bob requires constant maintenance. As I watch Jean-Luc, my hairstylist for years, expertly, I cringe. Who will cut my hair in Indiana? I imagine an old lady with too much hairspray on and bright fuchsia and blue eyeshadow approaching me with a pair of jagged scissors. Panic strikes before I remember a SWAT team of professional stylists and makeup artists will be on set to take care of the actors. If I can't have Jean-Luc, they're the next best thing. When we exit the salon, we have just enough spare time for a quick shopping spree at Saks Fifth Avenue before we cab to Momofuku Ko for our dinner reservations. At the restaurant, the cocktails are delicious and incredibly pretty, and so is the food. After we open the second bottle of wine, I do my best to stay a happy drunk as opposed to spiraling down into a my life is over rabbit hole. My friends cheer me and pull jokes on Cowboy's stamina and rolls in the hay. Holly even hands me a printout of an article titled, 10 Reasons Why Moving to Indiana is the Right Choice for You. That night in bed, I scroll a few. Great nature. I'm not outdoorsy. Sports. I don't follow any. Item number 3 informs me that Indiana is the covered bridges haven of the Midwest. I didn't even know covered bridges were a thing. But when the article tries to pass off Indianapolis as a city with a beautiful skyline, they lose me. Guess whoever penned this deceitful list has never set foot in New York. The only point I can agree with is the low state taxes. But since I won't be changing my residence, that won't apply to me. And now I should sleep. I need to be up in less than 4 hours to catch my flight to the hellish state. I mean, the Hoosier state. Chapter 2. The first 100 yards are the hardest. Cocktails and 2 bottles of wine sounded like a great idea last night, but as my alarm goes off at 4 a.m, I curse the day I was born. Instead of coffee, I'm tempted to start the day with an espresso martini. Someone wise once said that to keep drinking is the best cure for a hangover. And maybe if I stay tipsy for the next 3 months, I could even like Indiana. Pity I'll need a sharp mind to overhaul this production. So instead, I pop in a leave and drag my 2 huge silver metal suitcases down the hall and into the elevator. The rest of my things, shoes mostly, didn't fit, so Celia shipped those separately. Downstairs, my assistant is already waiting for me in the lobby and helps me roll one of the suitcases to the black SUV that will drive us to the airport. The driver takes the cases from us and struggles to fit them both in the trunk. next to Celia's single, smaller. Oh well, one can take the girl out of Manhattan, but not the sense of fashion out of the girl. Celia must disagree. She's wearing practical slacks and white sneakers, a sensible traveling outfit. But style will always win over practicality for me. I stroll forward, proud in my intentionally distressed skinny jeans, high-heeled leopard print calf hair stilettos, and Armani powersuit black jacket. In the end, the driver has to give up trying to fit both cases in the trunk and secures my second suitcase to the front seat with a seatbelt. Time to go. Goodbye, New York. Goodbye, my love. At the airport, I discover we're not even flying to Indianapolis, but to Louisville, Kentucky. Emerald Creek is closer to the southern border of Indiana, and the drive across Kentucky will only take an hour, as opposed to the 2.5 it would have taken from Indianapolis. Whatever. I navigate through the airport security checks like a malfunctioning human droid, and just before boarding, I indulge in the last decent cup of double-shot vanilla latte. As I sit on the plane, I pull my sleeping mask over my eyes, ready to snatch a couple of hours extra sleep during the journey. Once we land, I rinse and repeat, pulling my sleeping mask on the moment Celia and I step into the black truck a member of the film crew drove to Louisville to pick us up in. I'm jostled awake a while later when the pickup comes to an abrupt stop. The arrest is so sudden, only a fastened seatbelt prevents me from bumping my head into the front seat. I yank off the sleeping mask. What's going on? Jerry Mallon, the driver and our on-set carpenter and handyman, turns back toward me.
A cow is blocking the street.
A cow? I exit the truck to check the situation. We're on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by fields. No, not even fields, more like pastures. An endless expanse of grass on both sides. And in front of us, blocking the way, a gigantic brown cow with white patches is grazing the grass growing at the side of the road. I get closer, and Jerry and Celia join me. Can't we just sidestep it? The ground seems pretty flat at the road's edges, and we have a pickup. Jerry inches his chin in that direction.
There are ditches on both sides, hardly noticeable in the tall grass, but I'm not sure how deep they go, and I wouldn't want to risk getting tipped over or stuck.
I shield my eyes with my hand against the midday sun and squint at the winding road ahead. Nothing beyond the cow. Can we take a different route? Jerry removes his baseball cap and scratches the back of his head.
The thing is, the GPS gets iffy in these parts, and I'm not...
My farm? What do you mean, my farm?
Sagebrush Ranch. Isn't that where we're going?
No, we're going to a hotel in town. I turn to my assistant. Aren't we? Celia wrings her fingers and looks at me apologetically. That was the plan, but the 2 inns in town had most weekends booked and couldn't accommodate us for such a long stay. I had to find a more creative solution. A bed and breakfast sort of thing? Celia puts her hands forward. Which is much better because we'll have access to a fully equipped kitchen. We couldn't have survived 3 months on takeout. I'm about to reply that I've survived most of my life on takeouts, but then I remember this is Indiana and not New York. I'm not sure how many healthy delivery options they have in Emerald Creek. Oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? Then, once again, I remember we have to accommodate a full cast of Hollywood spoiled actors and their dietary quirks. Hence, we have an on-site chef and a community barn for meals and meetings at the ranch we're renting as the primary set. Don't be silly, I tell Celia, irritated. We're going to eat with the rest of the crew. Oh, right. Sorry, I've never been on location. Anyway, the bed and breakfast was the only spot with rooms for the entire summer. I wonder why. Oh my gosh, she probably booked us into a hovel. And what about the on-site cabins? I snap. All occupied. My head is already hurting, and not just for the lack of sleep or the excessive alcohol intake of last night. It must be all the fresh air. I need to sleep. And hovel or not, I don't care as long as they have a bed for me. But before we can get there, we need to overcome our little cattle problem. I stare at the other two, and they stare back at me expectantly. So, our only hope is to make the cow move? They nod sheepishly. Let's make it move then. How hard can it be? Again, they both just stare at me. Oh, for goodness sake. I approach the cow and size up the animal. My opponent continues grazing, unperturbed. I give her a gentle pat on the hindquarters. Nothing happens. I slap her harder, saying, "Move!" The wretched animal lifts her head, still munching, and observes me unimpressed. Once she's finished chewing, she moos at me. What does that mean? I don't speak cow. Can you please move out of the way? I try to push her forward, at which point she raises her tail, and I jump backward just before a pile of brown mush hits the ground, specks of the semi-solid substance landing dangerously close. Then the smell hits my nostrils, making me want to gag. Before I even have time to put a hand over my mouth, an uproarious laugh to my left makes me turn. A man is sitting on horseback near the road. I take in his cowboy boots and hat, the faded jeans smudged with dirt and dust, and the checkered shirt. Dude, you couldn't be more of a stereotype if you tried. Under the shadow of that giant, ridiculous hat, and with the sun coming in from behind him, I can't properly see his face, but his smile is arrogant enough to irk me even more. "Is this yours?" I ask, pointing to the cow. The man tips his hat at me.
"Sure is, miss."
"Would you mind moving her so we can be on our way?" The cowboy whistles in response.
"Come on, Betsy. Yee-haw, yee-haw, yee-haw. Time to go."
The cow flattens one ear, but otherwise ignores her owner. I cross my arms at this poor display of cowboy showmanship. In response, the man bends sideways over his saddle and grabs a rope that he swings over his head once, twice, before throwing around the cow's neck. Show off. Cow secured, he whistles sharply at her to move. Nudged by the rope around her neck, Betsy has no choice but to follow. She abandons her grass, hops across the ditch in a surprisingly graceful jump for such a large animal, and goes to stand next to the horse.
"Road's all clear,"
the cowboy says.
"Where are you folks headed, anyway?" "Sagebrush Ranch,"
Jerry replies.
"Is it far?" "Not at all."
The cowboy points at a bend in the road.
"Once you pass that turn, it's another 2 miles before the gate comes into view." "Thanks,"
Jerry says.
"No problem."
The cowboy tips his hat again.
"Have a nice day."
He frees Betsy from the lasso, then turns his horse around, and emitting clicking sounds, he digs his heels into the stirrups and leaves at a trot. I watch him go, then stare back at the pile of dung in the middle of the road that pretty much summarizes my impression of Indiana so far. Chapter 3. Keep your problems to yourself. The tires crunch over gravel as we stop before a massive wooden gate. Beyond the gate, a green hill rises in the distance, and on top of it rests a quaint, pale yellow house with white trim. My home for the next 3 months. How do we get in? I ask, not spotting any electronic interference. No cameras, no buzz. Only a white wooden gate strung between 2 stone columns and a fence sneaking around the hill on both sides. Celia whips out her phone. On the reservation it said to call this number once we reach the gate. She taps the screen and waits on the line. Yes, hi, this is Celia Warren. We have a reservation. Yes, that's us. We're at the gate. Celia hangs up and adds to me. They'll be here in a moment. Minutes later, a light blue pickup winds down the hill toward us. As the vehicle gets closer, I can make out more details. It's an old, battered Chevrolet that makes me feel suddenly transported into a Nicholas Sparks movie, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. If nothing else, Emerald Creek will be perceived as authentic by moviegoers, evoking precisely the right sentiments in the love-to-hate-you target audience. When the truck stops on the other side of the gate, an old woman in her 70s at least hops out and waves at us, smiling. Her hair is stark white, but still thick, collected at the top of her head, and she's wearing a short-sleeved floral dress. She reminds me of Grandma Duck. "Welcome to Sagebrush Ranch." The woman gestures at us to stay in the truck. "We'll make introductions once at the house." She opens the wooden gate. As we drive past her, I look back. Grandma Duck has closed the gate and has gotten back in the truck, which she now reverses in a single, impressively swift maneuver to follow us up the hill. At the top, the farmhouse is perched on a large, flat surface with a view of the valley below. It's a 2-story building with a large wraparound porch lined with flower beds. The area surrounding the home is tidy, a contrast to the thickly wooded area made of tall, spiky trees we just coasted by up the hill. Jerry parks in the open space before the house, next to a black pickup much newer than the one our hostess is driving. The Chevrolet pulls up right afterward. A minty breeze blows in my face as I get out of the truck. The wind also carries a soft lavender smell in its wake, with just a hint of honeysuckle. No livestock odors, thankfully. We must be downwind from the animal paddock off to the left of the house, where cows and goats are grazing grass. Their large oval pen is delimited by a sturdy wooden fence with rose bushes growing alongside it. Maybe that cowboy should come have a look at how to properly build an animal enclosure. I look up. The sky is mostly clear, but one cloud is hanging low, cloaking in its shadow a stable, which looks like a tool shack, and a giant red barn off farther to the left of the house. Behind all these buildings, green hills and pastures, Grandma Duck dismounts with a friendly smile. "Hello, and welcome again. I'm Willett Hunt. I hope you had a pleasant journey." We shake hands, and Willett invites us into the house. Jerry carries one of my suitcases while I drag the other up the front steps. Celia breezily overtakes both of us with her single suitcase half the size of mine. How she managed to pack for 3 months in that tiny case remains a mystery. Inside, the house is stylish in a country way. Plenty of whitewashed wooden furniture, vase flowers everywhere, and light pouring in from the wide windows. "Your rooms are upstairs." Willett points to the stairs and eyes my attire, the shoes, in particular, dubiously. "Do you want a hand carrying that?" "No, thanks." I grab the handle of my suitcase and stubbornly drag it up one step at a time. On the landing, Willett shows us our rooms and the shared bathroom. Okay, the accommodation isn't ideal, especially the shared bathroom aspect, but I've slept in worse places. And my room is big and spacious with a small desk where I can power up my laptop if I need to work. And most importantly, a walk-in closet. "Well, I'll let you settle down, and once you're ready, I've made lunch," Willett announces. "Oh," I say, surprised. "We wouldn't want to trouble you." "No trouble at all, dear. I wouldn't feel right not giving you a proper welcome." "If you're sure, thank you." Willett nods. "I'm sure. Come down whenever you're ready." I stare at Jerry, who, after dropping my case in my room, is waiting for instructions on the landing. "How far are we from the set?"
"I'd say 15 to 20 minutes.
"And from the town center?"
"About the same."
"Okay, then it's better if Celia and I keep the truck so no one has to drive us back and forth. But we need to familiarize ourselves with the roads first. Can you pick us up tomorrow morning for our first trip?"
"Sure. What time?"
7. I want to get the ball rolling right away. Lunch is served under the shade of the porch. The large table is a rustic wooden rectangle surrounded by benches in the same shabby chic wood, which is a few shades darker than the whitewashed oak inside the house. The table is covered with an embroidered white cotton tablecloth and laid with wavy white plates with silver borders. The silverware has a Provençal feel, same as the centerpiece, which is made of an old wire basket containing 6 mason jars filled with lavender, wildflowers, and greeneries. All very stylish, very Pinterestable. As I sit next to Celia, I count 4 plates. Her husband, perhaps? The answer arrives pronto as I raise my gaze to the backyard and spot the cowboy from before coming our way. The cowboy hat and boots are the same, the dirt-smeared jeans unchanged. The checkered shirt, however, is gone. The man is walking toward us bare-chested with the shirt casually draped over his shoulder. His skin shines with sweat in the midday sun. And if I had a thing for sculpted chests and washboard abs, the man could be making an impression. Thankfully, I prefer brains over brawn, so I'm not dazzled by this casual display of raw masculinity. I avert my gaze and find Celia gaping at the incoming macho bomb. "It's just muscles," I whisper to her. Her eyes snap up to me, and she blushes profusely, closing her jaw. Willett comes out bringing a tray of appetizers, canapes and mini sandwiches. Our host drops the tray on the table, and when she spots the man, her entire face brightens. "Oh, Travis, were you able to mend the fence?"
"All done, Mom,"
he says, hopping up the steps of the porch. He pulls his mother into a side hug and kisses the top of her head. Willett pushes him away. "You're all sweaty. You'll ruin my Sunday dress, dear." Travis gives her another kiss all the same, and then, looking at us, tips his hat again.
"Ladies, please allow me to take a shower before I properly introduce myself."
And with that, he disappears inside the house. Next to me, I hear Celia letting out a breath. Oh, come on. He's not that good-looking. "Does your son still live with you?" I ask casually. "No, Travis helps me with the heavy stuff on the weekends. My back isn't what it used to be, and it's hard to manage the farm on my own." That makes me wonder what happened to her husband. She's still wearing a wedding ring. "Do you have many animals?" Celia asks. "No, just a few cows, chickens, 3 goats, 2 llamas, and the horses, of course." And what if she had many? I comment in my head. "Please, dears, help yourself to the appetizers while we wait for Travis." The canapes and mini sandwiches are delicious. Willett could charge a fortune for food like this in New York. I'm scarfing down my 5th mini sandwich when the man of the house makes another appearance. The hat is gone, the jeans are clean, and a light blue dress shirt covers his chest. He's also changed boots, wearing a pair less torn than the ones he had on before. His dark blonde hair is still wet from the shower and sticking out in all directions as if he simply... Mr. Cowboy gives his mother another kiss and then beams at us.
"Hi there. I'm Travis Hunt."
While he shakes Celia's hand, I have a few seconds to properly study his face. Chiseled cheekbones, light blonde stubble, full lips, pearly white teeth, a slight chin cleft, and intelligent hazel green eyes. Admittedly, not completely unpleasant to look at. Of all these charming features, the eyes worry me the most. As our gazes meet, they crinkle with some sort of untold mischief, as if he knows something I don't. To shake his hand, I stand up and find myself at an immediate disadvantage. Even off the horse, the man towers over me, and he's doing nothing to lessen the gap. Travis Hunt seems to enjoy his physical superiority. The suspicion is confirmed when we shake hands, and he holds both my hand and gaze a few seconds longer than appropriate. Mr. Cowboy has taken up the attitude of someone sizing up an adversary, which makes no sense unless he plans to have me battle another of his mother's cows.
"So, ladies,"
Travis says, sitting down on the bench opposite us next to Willett.
"What brings you into this neck of the woods?"
Celia jumps to answer. "We're with the movie production. We need to sort some..." "We're here to supervise the shooting." I cut her off before she can utter the word troubles. A single tweet could start a rumor, and the last thing I want is for word to spread that my production is behind schedule. That would make investors and sponsors nervous, and I sure don't need that pile of crap on top of the dung, literal and figurative, I already have to deal with. I shoot Celia a warning stare. She nods back in an I'll keep my mouth shut way, looking a bit mortified. I smile to let her know the crisis is averted and we're cool. "Of course," Willett says, serving the main dish, a quiche Lorraine that looks delicious. "The town has never been so busy. The population has doubled since you folks moved in, which is great, right? Travis was telling me the other day how his office—"
"Mom, the ladies had a long journey,"
Mr. Cowboy interrupts.
"I'm sure they don't want to talk shop at lunch."
"No, please," I say. "Tell us what you do, Travis."
"I'm a lawyer,"
he says non-committally. At the announcement, Willett looks at him funny, but he gives her a subtle headshake and she doesn't comment. What was that about?
"Anyway,"
Travis continues,
"the production will keep you pretty busy, I guess. But do you plan on seeing the sights as well?"
"Is there anything to see around here?" Then I realize the comment could come off as offensive, so I hastily add, what local attraction would you recommend?"
"The hike to the Potawatomi waterfall, for sure. And the lake is always gorgeous in the summer."
"And in a few weeks we're having the Dubois County Fair," Willett chimes in. "It's a big event. A carnival comes to town, there's a baking competition, and a horse reining tournament. Cowboys come from all over the country to compete." I've no idea what horse reining is, and I'm dying a little inside that a minuscule county fair will be the most exciting thing for the next 3 months. I'm used to Broadway, to the Met Gala, to living in the pulsating cultural and artistic heart of the country. Now, all I have to look forward to is a baking competition. FYI, I don't bake. Travis seems to read my mind because he says,
"Of course, it's small fish compared to the entertainment New York has to offer."
I raise my head quickly at the comment, lowering my fork. "How do you know we're from New York?" Travis shrugs.
"The accent."
"I don't have an accent."
"You think you don't, but New Yorkers have a pretty distinctive way of talking."
"And what makes you such an expert on New York?"
"Lived there a few years."
I compare him to all the lawyer types of Manhattan, trying to imagine him in their midst with his cowboy boots, but I can't reconcile the two images. What kind of law did he practice? I finally take the first bite of quiche and shudder. "Oh my gosh, Willett, this is delicious." No wonder she's excited about a baking competition. With food like this, she'll win. "Thank you, dear. It's a secret family recipe." "Really amazing, Willett," Celia agrees.
"Mom's the best cook in the world,"
Travis adds. And while I might be ready to agree, I tease him a little. "Is that why you moved back home?"
"No."
His face darkens.
"I didn't want to live to work. And what else could compare to—"
He looks behind his shoulders at the barn and green pastures.
"This."
I picture the Manhattan skyline, Fifth Avenue at Christmas, Central Park in the fall, the Hamptons in the summer. Yeah, what indeed? Travis and I exchange a silent agree to disagree stare, and I let Celia take over the conversation for the rest of the meal. I'm too busy polishing off one slice of quiche after the other. Home-cooked food has risen to the top spot as the best cure for a hangover. When lunch is over, I get super drowsy, though. I'm stuffed, I haven't slept, and the king bed upstairs is calling me with more passion than mermaids to sailors. I thank Willett again for the wonderful meal and offer to help her with the dishes, but she refuses. I say goodbye to Travis and remind Celia of our early wake-up call tomorrow before I excuse myself. Upstairs, I barely have the strength to brush my teeth and shimmy out of my clothes before I snuggle under the soft covers in my underwear, not bothering to put on pajamas. The room is cool despite the outside heat, and as soon as my head touches the pillow, I fall asleep. Chapter 4. The Early Bird Catches the Worm Goat. The silence wakes me before the sun comes up. Considering that I went to bed at 4 in the afternoon, I'm not surprised to be stirring so early. But I find the complete lack of sound disconcerting, eerie almost. Where are the sirens, the traffic, the noisy neighbors? Those sounds are my white noise. I need them to sleep. I should have recorded a night's worth of background sounds before leaving, but I'm sure someone invented an app for that. I grab my phone from the bedside table. 5:15 a.m. Gosh, I haven't slept for over 12 hours and I can't remember how long. I download a few white noise apps and scroll through the options. Rain, crashing waves, logs burning. One even has a Tibetan singing bowl sound. But no blaring horns, wailing fire trucks, or construction work. When I finally find a city street option, it's a joke. I don't know what city they live in, but it clearly isn't New York. 100% out of sleep after the white noise quest, I decide to use my time more productively and squeeze in a workout session before Jerry comes to pick us up at 7. I change into leggings and a sports bra, grab my iPad, and move downstairs. The wooden steps creak beneath my feet, and I try to be as stealthy as I can to not wake anyone. The porch seems like the optimal place to take my virtual Pilates class. So I exit the house through the kitchen back door and roll out my yoga mat on the wooden planks. Outside, it's still chilly, but exercising should get me warm in no time. Despite the shivers running down my arms, I pause for a second to admire the sunrise. The morning light makes the pastures that expand beyond the fenced garden blossom with color, each grass blade tinged with the reflected orange of the sun on one side and bright green on the other. And okay, the setting is beautiful, but I'm still going to miss the